this is how I eventually made the fitting for the gearbox to sit in. You can see how I had to cut the back away there, and I've just folded the metal. Now, I've not put any screws in through from the back of the receiver as I said I was going to do. In the end, when you put the stock on, the stock actually holds the lower trigger guard assembly, lower receiver section, into the upper receiver. So the only thing it then needs is a pin going through just where the hole is there. It takes, at the moment I'm using an old galvanized nail to hold it in there, but eventually it'll have a proper pin which will lock in just like the real one has. You can see I welded it underneath there in 3 points by drilling holes and then welding that sort of D-shaped loop of steel there, and that hole there is where it would take a screw to hold the gearbox to it. I then welded underneath to make it even stronger. But this gearbox is just sat in there at the moment, there's no screw there. So if I just remove the gearbox, it's quite a precise fit. Right. You can see there's the welding I did to strengthen the mounting up. Now these plates which are going in here, I'm simplifying the design a little bit. I'm just going to leave this part completely flat, unlike on the original where there's this shaping, this hollow to it. I'm just going to leave mine flat like so. And what I'll then do is I'll build it up with another piece of steel on the inside to give it that fluting shape. I think that should work out okay. If I sit this on top of the original gun, you can see I've got it fairly close to how it should look. Now this section here, see where it curves and fits in with the stock, I'm also going to have a go at doing that. I'm going to weld a little curved piece of steel on the rear end here and weld it in and then grind it back so that it smooths into the back end of the trigger housing here, and I'm going to try and cut the stock so that it all looks similar to that. Yeah. Now you notice how this area here and here I've ground a bit of a chamfer to it. I've put an angle around the edges. Now I've done the same on the points here where this is going to be in contact, and then I'm going to fill those areas in with weld with the MIG welder and then grind them back. Hopefully it'll look okay when I've finished. Now this area here, I've put the angle on the inner surface because I'm then going to try and fit a piece of steel in. After I've welded these two sides in, I'm going to try and fit a piece in on the middle and weld that in. It's a little bit harder to do. In fact, some people would say I should weld the centerpiece in before I fit it in there. That may well be something I should do. I'll have a think about that and give it a go, and I'll let you know how I manage it. Okay, I've opted for doing it the way I was saying. I've welded it down the side there, and I've welded it here. Now I've ground this back a little bit. There I'm going to need a small grinding wheel, and unfortunately the wheel I'm using in my grinder at the moment is still fairly new, but once they wear down a bit and go smaller, you can get them in little places like that a bit easier. The other option is you get a little Dremel tool and you grind it away with that, but that takes a little while using a Dremel. Now this is the next little piece I'm fitting in here. You can see I've just bent it with some pliers, and I've ground the edges back as I did with the other pieces which are fitted in, and I'm going to have a go at welding those in there now. I'll probably weld along there as well, and there, and then I'll just spend some time filing it away. So once I put the bits back together with the mag in, and I've blued the metal a little bit, so it's not looking so bad. Yeah, I've done the fixings for the front hand grip, and I've finished the wood off a little bit better, and I've put some French polish on it now, which is similar to True Oil that you can buy. Still got to do many parts, the sights, obviously all the airsoft components, the hop-up unit, and I'm going to have to make a magazine for it. Mind you, I might be able to buy a BAR magazine, a real one, and convert a real one. If anyone's got any links they can send me as to where I can buy a real BAR magazine and just convert it, and if it's not too expensive, then please send me some links. I'm starting to do some work on the furniture for the stock. Now eventually I'm going to make the butt plate look like this, but for the time being, probably until I get the gun functioning, I'm just going to put a basic butt plate on it. And I've basically put my stock down on a piece of cardboard, and I've drawn round the cardboard after pushing the cardboard in against the profile of the stock. You can see the stock has a bit of a shape to it so that it fits into your shoulder quite well. I've tried to get it fairly close on mine to the original. Now, so I've cut it out in cardboard, and then I've placed the cardboard on the steel, marked it out, and that leaves me with that. Not perfect there in the middle, but I think it'll do me. You could spend some time on it, probably shape the wood to fit the metal, to be honest with you, would probably be the better option. Now this hole here, now I've made a special, I've made an M6, turned an M6 screw so that it fits in there approximately. It still probably needs a little bit more work on the screw to make it look neater, but basically the screw that goes into there goes down into the back end of the pipe which runs through the stock, and I've got a piece of bar with a tapped hole running through it, welded into the back of the stock. So that secures that. At this point here, standard wood screw it's going to be. Now, the next part which I've done is this notch in the side. It should look fairly similar to the original. Now, obviously your stock will have slight differences in measurements to the original one, like mine has. Mine's not quite as sharp as this one is here, you know. Mine's fairly blunt on this curve here, comparing it to that one, but I'm not worried about that. So what I've done is I've tried to work out the cut in it. It actually, you cut 15 millimeters down into it, and then you need that sort of an angle to it. Maybe you could actually take an image of this thing. If I pop that down there and I put a metric rule against it, you can get some sort of an idea. You could probably take a snapshot, a screenshot of this, and work it out. So that point there is 5.3 centimeters. So that's 5.3. Then we have 7 centimeters across there. That point is about that point there is about 2.7. So that's that dimension, 2.7. And then there is about 3.4. So that gives you a bit of an idea. Right, so I basically cut this out, and then what I've done is I've laid a piece of cardboard into it, and I've drawn round underneath the cardboard to give me my shape, which gave me this. So basically I can push that down into the wood. I marked off the points on each side where I need to bend across. Yeah. Then what I've done is I've cut this out in a piece of steel, 3mm mild steel, and eventually I've got it down to this. And with a little bit of filing and some drilling, it eventually looks like that. Now, this hole in the centre, on the original one, it's about, I think it's about 15 millimeters across. In fact, it's a bit more than that. It's about 17 millimeters across. So I'm not going to do that though. I'm going to leave mine a ½ inch, 13 millimeters. And basically I want to try and keep this as strong as I can, and I don't think I'm ever going to come up with a use for that hole in the middle. So just so that the look is fairly decent, I've just made it ½ inch. I might drill a hole down inside the wood behind it as well, just for appearance's sake. Yeah. So now, why are you saying have I left the wood around the edge and made a nice straight profile to it?